Beautiful people. How you doing? How are you doing? How's your week? Well, if you ask me, this is one of my best weeks so far. Why? Because Oniluo went to stage. Jesus Christ perfected everything. Went on smoothly. The turnout was impressive for our first show. Not too bad, but thank God. And big shout out to, of course, I thank God the most. And I'm also giving thanks to all my creative team, my friends, my colleagues, Mrs. Victoria Nancy, Director Choir Master, Babalola Buluatife, Radiola Tobosu, Favor. Like, my team is solidified, you know. So big shout out to everyone. We pray this is not going to be the end. We would storm the whole Nigeria, take over the palace show across Africa and the world. Yeah. Happy Sunday, beautiful people. Happy Sunday to you, United Kingdom. Happy Sunday to you, Nigeria. Happy Sunday to you, West Africa, United States, Canada. Happy Sunday to you, wherever you're watching me. You're welcome to Street and Cathedral. Today is going to be a special episode because after we staged the play, you know, if you're following me on TikTok, the likes has just been skyrocketing. Everybody actually loves Oniluo. We are now having a proper conversation in that dimension, and we have an icon, a woman king. We have as our guest today. But before then, need I say that I want to react to some trending things before people jump on board, because the official time is always 4 o'clock. So I always come earlier to just react to trending issues. Then I know people will join properly at 4 o'clock. I'm particularly about my faith right now. I've seen a lot of things going on, a lot of videos. I'm not really interested in the irrelevant, you know, kind of argument. But there is something I just want to point our attention to, so we understand who we are in Christ, you know. And that's the fact that I saw someone criticizing the song, I have decided to follow Jesus. I'm saying that's not a gospel song. That's, you know, I understand that Gaze Baba has taken time to explain the Afro gospel on Pastor Femi Lazarus' podcast. That being said, there's some question I want to poke fun to us, because it seems as if, let me first ask, do we actually really believe in the Bible? And if we do, what sort of Christians are we if we believe everything, single thing that God did with people, human beings like us in the Bible? And people like Pastor Adejuyigbe are saying that they have experienced God in a dimension that is so enormous, and everybody's saying, oh, he's lying and all. So just let me understand something. So are you saying that God has just walked, has done all his wonders in the past, and cannot move greatly with people in the present. And that explains a lot about the kind of Christians we are. And I think I'm starting to understand where the problem lies. Let's brush aside, the fake miracles and all. This is me asking you a question right now. Do you believe in the power of God? Or you doubt almost everything that comes from this faith? Yeah, there are charades, but do you believe in God? So if God, you believe the God you worship is a consuming fire, you believe he parted the Red Sea at some point in time, then why does it seem as if some miracles that some people are actually testifying to, you find it hard to believe? So it's just a question, because you come in, you start saying gospel, and I feel like the word of the Lord saying that let God be true and everyone be a liar, and also enacting the fact that whatsoever we establish here on earth is established in heaven. We will give it authority, and whatsoever we bind here on earth is already bind in heaven. So that means we could establish culture here. So Gaines Baba was right. I struggle to understand why everybody is all about, oh, this person is a fake pastor. See, I understand in circumstances when some people have gone amiss, we're trying to call them each other, but I am not here to say any pastor is fake, attacking Pastor Adefarasi, attacking Pastor Ebiyume. I'm not interested in that. That's why, in the context of whatever conversation we are addressing, let it be circumstantial. Let it be an issue, not the personality. Because at some point in time, Elijah too could be criticized, because one could say Elijah is too temperamental, which is true. According to the history of Elijah, he was highly temperamental, which is true. But does it mean Elijah was not genuinely a man of God? So people could actually criticize, yeah, David was a famous guy and he was promiscuous. It was true. Does it mean that the hand of God was not in David? I think we really need to slow down about all these perfect pictures that we've had at the back of our mind, and we bring that to the context of we actually wanting all these men of God to be perfect. No, nobody's perfect. So when we address issues, sometimes, most times, these people actually listen and they take cognizance of it and they retract their steps. And that is the point of criticism. So when I start seeing character assassination, trying to pull people down, like the amazing guest I have today, she has been a wonderful person. She has taken bold steps that even some men cannot take. So even if you want to address some certain, let it be issues, not personalities. So you don't take away people's magic. You don't take away people's, a positive side when you. That's to me, that's shallow, very shallow, and it's sad that's what we found now. Everybody just have an opportunity to say things and mislead people, and I don't know. It's sad. That's happening in the body of Christ. If it is in the world, or let's say the secular, the secular terrain, we say, okay, fine, we understand. This is a jungle. This is wild. But in the body of Christ, it's sad. But well, are we caught unawares? No. Are we surprised? No. Okay, people have started joining, and I'm going to have my guest right now. If you kindly could press the first icon you see beneath your screen that looks like a video, request to join this video, then I'll accept. Then that will be us. Today we are treating a very germane topic, which is cultural programming in Africa. Cultural programming in Africa. And we are going to be graced by no other person than the Regent Queen, a king. Excuse my language. The Regent King, who sat on the highest throne of Iboropa, Akoko, Ondo State, from the year 2016 at the age of 16 years old. That's a very fantastic Fantastic story right there. We want to meet her. She's intelligent, brilliant. Her accolades are quite enormous. Her portfolio is cumbersome. She has achieved a lot, and she's one of those kind of women we need to project for even the young chaps to have hope. With this denigrating society we're experiencing and people tilting towards some aspects, this kind of iconic lady represents a voice that a lot of people think is a myth. No, she's real. We're going to have her. She's online, and I could send her, and we'll kickstart this program, this session. Oniluo, and hello, Kabiesiu, your Royal Highness. Mo ní kí ká kọ́kọ́ sọ Yorùbá kí tó sọ òyìnbó.
Ó dà bẹ́ẹ̀.
Bí a bá mọ̀ wípé ọmọ àṣà ni mí gan. Mo kí orí adé.
Orí adé á gbé wa.
Ẹ kú iṣẹ́ takuntakun. Ẹ kú ìgbìyànjú. Ẹ kú akíkanjú àti ẹ kú bí ẹ ṣe dúró ṣinṣin láti mi gbọ́dọ̀ disappoint Yorùbá yìí. Láti gbé àṣà wa ga lárugẹ, inú wa dùn, orí wa wú. Nígbà tí mo ka ìtàn yín, mo ní bí èèyàn báyìí bá ṣe wà, ó pọn dandan fún àwa yìí láti sọ wípé rárá, a gbọ́dọ̀ gbé èèyàn báyìí sí ìta dáadáa ká ràn wọ́n lọ́wọ́, nítorí wípé ohun tí ẹ ṣe, ohun tó jẹ́ pé àwọn ọkùnrin gan-an wọ́n ní tí ọmọdé bá dé di ẹ̀rù àbá, wọ́n ní ìjà ẹni ìjà ọba dé bá lópin ẹ̀ ọmọkùnrin gan ẹ̀rù bà. Tábà wá rí akíkanjú obìnrin níwò ìta wà yìí tó lè dúró tó lè ṣe ohun tẹ̀tẹ̀ gbé àṣà wa ga báyìí, a gbọ́dọ̀ yìn iṣẹ́ ilẹ̀ ṣe. So mo tún sọ wípé kábíyèsí lẹ́ẹ̀kan sí.
Thank you.
So you're welcome. You're welcome. Let me do your introduction properly.
Okay.
For my speakers. Let me explain this to you so that you understand. My program actually takes place here live, but I have enormous followers on Spotify, on YouTube. So what I do is that after this program, I edit it properly and put it on YouTube, on Spotify, on Apple Podcasts, which I'm going to share the link. Then it will have a widespread range. But right now, I've had a lot of people from Nigeria who complains about data, telling me sometimes they want to join that live, but data. But YouTube has a way that minimize the, even when you stream, minimize the use of data on Spotify and also like that. So thank you very much for joining me. Thank you very much for representing our culture, for making us proud. Thank you so much for being bold and brave. Ladies and gentlemen, this is our Royal Majesty, Tinuade Babalola Adejuyigbe, crowned princess, and if I'm right, is it Oro or Oro 7?
Oro
7 of Iboropa Akoko, Ondo State. This amazing woman. I know ladies don't like their age to be spilled, but you permit me to just spill it for one purpose, to encourage the young generation, so they don't feel like, oh, this person is actually old, she's in her late 30s. She was born on May 25th, 1998. She is the daughter of His Royal Majesty Oba Emmanuel Babalola Adejuyigbe and Olori Olushola Aderibigbe Adejuyigbe. Tinuade's father, His Royal Majesty Oba Emmanuel Babalola Adejuyigbe, held the position of traditional ruler until his untimely death. Kí Ọlọ́run bá wa tẹ́ wọn sáfẹ́fẹ́ rere, kí Ọlọ́run bá wa foríjì wọn. Àwa náà ká jẹ kù lẹ́yìn, kí a pẹ́, kí ọjọ́ jìnnà síra. Which significantly shaped our own path. Now, the most I know our portfolio is so interesting that I just need to take time to introduce you. You know, Our Royal Majesty Tinuade Babalola Adejuyigbe was crowned princess. I'm sorry, she was crowned the regent of Ibopa Akoko following the death of Kabiyesi, her father. Despite her youth, she took on the responsibility leading the kingdom, a role she held until December 16, 2021. So now she was crowned at the age of 16 on February 23rd, 2015, and she held that position till 2021. Wow. That is the boring part. The interesting part is she had other sisters. She's the middle child. She's going to explain to us why the lot fell on her. But it's so amazing that I want to understand such a lady you are, that at the age of 16, you had the confidence and boldness to say, I am going to sit on this throne. That is quite even bolder than the Oniluwo that we just did. Yes, Oniluwo has represented well, but this seems to be more like a fairy tale. And when we say this and you are not here, people say, I saw do it, and you are a. So that's why I needed to bring you on board. I know you have to be. That being said, you would think, oh, she just sat on that throne, being docile, not having a foresight. She pushed herself towards academics. Her Royal Majesty studied and graduated from Adekunle Ajasin University, Akungba, Akoko, Ondo State in the year 2019. Remember, she was on throne 2015. So she was managing the throne, administration of the throne, and studying in school. Wow. If that doesn't amaze you, I don't know. I'm already eager to even hear her story. That's why I'm trying to throw open her background. And she has achieved a lot, obviously. She has achieved a lot. She is the most celebrated, and she is regarded as the youngest regent in Nigeria. Her tenure from that 2015 to 2021 was marked as significant contributions to our community and a commitment to empowering women and children, particularly in agricultural sector. She unveiled a foundation in 2021 aimed at supporting women and children's empowerment, aligning with her passion for philanthropy and business. So, they say there's no life without obstacles. As a matter of fact, I can see all the obstacles. I can imagine it already. Someone who is schooling. I don't know how the picture is. Were you taking the throne to school? But we would get there. Someone who was schooling and was on throne. So, and I know people were Kabiyesi, and how did you even survive? How are you here? And you're a woman, for heaven's sake, and women are considered to, I don't believe that. And that's the cultural programming we are trying to address. And you be the one to talk. I'm here to listen. I'm also wowed, to be honest. And let me just make it brief so that we jump into the out of the conversation. Because along the conversation, you expose us to you, you introduce us to you. But to be quite honest, you are a wonder. You are, I don't know, I've written about Oniluwo, and immediately I saw your story, I felt like maybe if I had met you earlier, we would be staging your own play rather than Oniluwo. You are a wonder. So thank you, and you're welcome to Street and Cathedral. I have to state your passion because your passion towards gender discrimination, balancing education and regency, managing all these financial constraints and social expectation, and with the fact that you still exude empathy and compassion, inclusivity and empowerment, and your vision and innovation including empowerment of women and youth, cultural renaissance, and advocacy for gender equality. Amidst all these, your feet and public speaking, expanding your foundation, forging your education and personal development, it's a wonder. We really want to learn from you. So you're welcome to Street and Cathedral properly, Your Royal Majesty.
Thank you so much for having me. Thanks for your kind words. I really appreciate it. It's good to be here, and like I said, I really appreciate it. I am humbled. Thanks for having me once again.
Thank you. Yeah, Street and Cathedral is actually an idea born, given to me by God. The street stands for, I'm a trained journalist, so the street represents what we know as vox pop. Vox pop is actually when you go to the street and ask people's opinion. So it became a concern, a burden on me that the media has been shining lights on the supposed quote and unquote celebrities. And you and I know that not all celebrities are worth following. Some celebrities are, you even question, like, are people really following this guy? And you wonder the kind of people that follow these kind of people. And then we are all members of the society. I'm not going to wait for Debranch to go and speak on behalf of what affects my life and my kid. And I'll wait for Two-Face to fight for me. Two-Face to decide that we are feeling pain before I know that no, it's not going to happen. We are going to snap out of that. So this is more like I'm taking a decoy. I'm starting a mental revolution amidst the media space, and it has been enormous. People have been supporting. I have been, amazing people that has been jumping on board on deep topics like you, which I appreciate. Cathedral is just my sentiment. I'm a Christian. I don't intend to change soon. If I was a traditional ruler, maybe it would have been street and shrine. But because I'm a Christian and I have had different people, I don't even know your religion. So I don't bother asking because I believe that we should soar above religious sentiment and have meaningful conversation. So I've had traditional worshippers, so what I know is that my faith is intact. I know why I am on my faith, and I respect everybody for their choice of faith. So that's the Street and Cathedral, and you're welcome. So my first question to you is this, Your Royal Majesty. Can you share us, which I believe with this introduction I've made, a lot of people, that's what they want to hear. Can you share your journey to becoming a Regent King? What motivated you, 16 years old, to take on this role despite the challenges related to your gender and even your position in the family?
Well, that's the funny, and I would say that the most interesting part, because I came into this position purely by faith. It's not because of some merit or anything like that. My father passed when I was 16, like you said, and for me, my father was somebody that I revered, somebody that I loved so much. It was my superhero. It was everything to me. And having passed, it was quite sudden. Nobody expected it. He died after a brief. I would not even call it an illness per se. It just happened. So we did not see it coming. And you know how it is having to deal with the loss of a loved one, and then having to transition, having to fill his shoes. That's just so.
Wait. You had an elder sister, a younger sister. Why did the cast fall on you?
Yes. So in my community, but for other parts of Yoruba, of Ondo and Ekiti, where this institution is being practiced, usually they would go for the first daughter of the king. It goes straight directly from the father to the first daughter. But in my case, divination was made. They took the names of the princesses and they went for the elders. They went for consultations, several places within and outside of the community, and they came back with my name.
Wow. Wait. Now this is where, because I know we are spiritual people, Yoruba people. Is there no way before the demise of Kabiyesi that maybe a prophecy. Apparently, maybe you didn't take it serious, or maybe you've had a dream, a prophecy just came. Because I believe God always hints in one way, or maybe you didn't just take it serious, but something that has just given you clue about your future.
You're quite right, and that's a funny one because no one has ever asked me that, and I really appreciate that because, like you said, there is always some level of divine intervention, divine presence in everything that we do, and same with me as well. Because I remember that before my father passed, I just got an admission and I was preparing myself, to leave the house and go to uni. So on a fateful day, I think about 2 weeks before my father passed, I had a dream which I shared with my mom. I had a dream that my father was not around, and we had lots of visitors, like big personalities, kings, governors, people like that. They were around, and I was the one who hosted them. They were asking, "Oh, where's your father?" "Oh, he's not around. Don't worry. Since you're here, just they were just relating with me, engaging with me, giving me gifts, offering their advice, all of that. And as soon as I woke up, it was just a funny situation. I just thought, oh, this means nothing. So I just checked my mom, and she said definitely
And
you have you can.
I had to ask that
Mhm.
because in tracing God and the gods, as the case may be, I believe they don't leave their subjects clueless. Apparently, we are not deep enough to take their signals seriously.
I
So
agree.
I'm so glad
I
for
agree.
for that story because the fact that you could establish that also means that I just want to trace the hand of God on your life, if you know what I mean. And where I really, because I believe you're special and God must have actually been giving you such clues earlier. How did your upbringing and cultural background influence your perception of leadership and female authority within the Yoruba society?
My upbringing, I was brought up in the palace, and definitely in the way of the palace. I was brought up there and I grew up there. And I saw my father administer his people. I saw how he served his people. I saw how he addressed courts. So that way, I had already uh, known so much about not just about being royalty, but the custom, the values, all of the
Gẹ́gẹ́ bá máa sọ pé òòṣà tábà ṣíwájú ọmọ á parun. So you've actually been
exactly,
seeing Kábíyèsí do it.
exactly. So
Okay.
so I know everything about the morals, the values, everything that I need to know, not just as a princess, but as an Akoko girl, and as well a Yoruba girl as well, because I was raised, definitely you can imagine how it's going to be, you have your roles to play in the palace. Even as a princess, you had certain things that you need to do that are expected of you. So that was how I was raised. And to this day, I would say that the way I was raised, my father raised us, because I grew up with my cousins. Palace is always, which is lots of people there. I grew up with my cousins, my father's friends' children, people like that would always come over, visitors. So Palace is always lively. So I grew up with that, and then my father told us that there's a Yoruba thing that would always word that it would always hammer into our heads, like anyhow king.
Mm.
So I know that you're a
Mm.
princess, and that can get to you sometimes, but you have to realize that you have to be very careful, you have to be
Ìyàwó
mindful,
kìí
you
wò
have to be
ó.
very
Mm.
cautious with the people you relate with, the things you do, and all of that. So that to this day still resonates with me, even
Wow.
as a monarch.
So, cultural programming right now. We know the roles of women in our society as Yoruba. You are young, not just a lady. The fact that you are young, Yoruba culture has a way of àwọn ọmọdé ni ẹ́, kí ló ṣì mọ̀? You know what I mean? Ó tún wá jẹ́ obìnrin again. I really want to know what specific experiences or events made you aware of the limitation imposed by gender on leadership roles in our
For
culture.
me, the what I would say led to series of events that proved that to me was my ascension to the throne.
Mm.
As soon as I was made, because before I was made regent, my father raised us, my brothers, and
Wait, slow
I
down.
and the rest of my sisters.
You have brothers. You
Yeah,
have brothers.
yeah, I have brothers.
You have brothers.
Yes, I have brothers.
Oh God. You
Traditionally, only women are considered for the position, so the men were out of the equation
okay,
already. They
okay,
knew that, yes, but they
okay.
could contest for,
For kingship,
for kingship, yes, but not for this.
regent. Okay.
So, I was raised in a way of, because there was no celebration in my while I was growing up in the palace, regardless of your gender. The only thing that my father would always tell us is you have to respect your elders. Even if the person is just a day older than you, you have to respect them. So that's the only thing. It doesn't have to do with gender or anything. So after I uh, after my ascension, the first few weeks was, I would not want to use, was quite difficult, to adjust, the transition on whole. So it took a while for me to adjust, and I realized that the first experience that I would say that I had per se was, a series of events actually, but similar patterns. You step into a space and everybody looks at you. You're dressed as a man. You're wearing buba. You're wearing shukutu. You're wearing agbada with beads, all of that, and they automatically assume, oh, she's quite young. How old is she? Maybe she's a teenager. Oh, okay. Oh, that means she's a figurehead. She's not doing anything. She's just there, you know, just for the look. She's a puppet with people controlling her, things like that. Oh, she's just there. She has no, she has no wisdom. She has no capacity. She has no knowledge, and that way they tend to underrate you. They tend to, look down at you. Not this has systemic, not like, oh, like in your face, but with the way they are
Yeah, I
dealing
know.
with you, that, oh, these people definitely don't consider me as someone who deserves to be in this room.
Did,
So
did, did, did,
definitely.
did you have a very good support system when it comes to family, or you
Yes,
also had to? You
definitely.
ha-
You know how it is. Family for me is everything. Family is the best gift that God gave me, and I'm so grateful for that every day. Gift of family is the biggest gift God gave me. And
this is a digression now for us to laugh. Was there any point where you were carried away because was there any time you were carried away, you almost knelt down for the normal chief that always come, that you always greet like Otun Osi, and they're like, hey, a war. Or was there any time there was a resistance to even bow for you? You know, I'm so
okay,
sure we have
okay.
that cultural ego sometimes. Omonumi, do you have that?
People, people who are familiar or aware of the custom of this institution would definitely accord me with the respect that I deserve, because they know that custom and tradition demands that they show me respect. So that is normal. And they always tell me, oh, okay, Kabiyesi, you do it for you, but it is not about you. The decision is beyond you as, as human. It is divine. And whatever respect that we accord to you, we are according to the soul that you represent, the throne itself. So it's not even about, so the bigger picture is not even about me, it's about the throne, it's about the ordainment, from God and things like that. So
Let's go
that's it.
deep.
And
Let's go
definitely,
deep.
of course, in the start I made a couple of mistakes. You might, sometimes I think there was a day that I just threw on a dress and people, Kabiyesi, you can't wear a dress anymore. You have to go and change all of that. So that thing was
Can't say going to look sexy, moment.
that.
you know, let me first comment the fact that there's an aura you exude. I'm not flat right now, and for some reasons, I really think the aura you exude is you exude an aura of respect, but at the same time, you also exude an aura of peace and love. You know, I everybody has an expectation before they meet someone. Why some people, maybe because I read into Oniluo and there was some affirmation about her that she was high-handed. I felt Luo needed that because that time she was the first of her kind, and that booze was coming from
People
every angle. And
take it for granted.
if
So
she was not that firm, they will take her as a joke.
yeah.
Even you see some kind of chiefs trying to tell her that let me marry you, all those kind of things, and someone is trying to say never, and they say how to lead you and all. So I understand that, and It's just that let's delve deeper now. To be honest, as much as I'm interviewing you, I'm also speaking as your fan. I'm struck between I'm struck between
Yeah,
being your fan.
thank you.
So I'm so happy interviewing you, and at the same time, I really want to exhaust deep questions. So let's go, since we've touched that divine right now. We have Oniluo, we have likes of Moremi, and you stepped into the scene at the age of 16. How do you feel that you are making an history? Was it a big burden on you? Were you scared? Were you how did you take it all in? How did you soak it in?
The first day after all of the rites of passage have been performed, and I was asked to step into my father's room to pick some of his personal items, his clothing, his beads, things like that. And I was made to wear one of my father's royal robe, and I could, you know, I could still smell like the faint perfume, his the
Oh,
faint perfume of his
yes.
on the particular cloth, and that just broke me. I cried. I cried like uncontrollably because I don't. It was just a lot to handle. But thank God for the gift of family, having to deal with the loss of your father, and that I was not really able to process it well before that came in, and then there were expectations of, oh, this is how you must talk now. This is the places that you must go to. You can't go to anymore. These are people that, oh, just stay away from these people. They have bad characters, and they are bad influence. All of that. And even as a Yoruba woman, you know how it is with several limitations of, oh, don't do this, don't do that. Whereas male counterparts have, unlimited access, they have unlimited resources, they have the will, they have everything that they need in their control to do whatever it is that they want to do. And that is just when I realized that, yes, definitely, uh, we live in a patriarchal world, like patriarchal society,
We
and women are definitely oriented, and it
do
is
we
up
do
to
we do we coming from a female king, do we?
yeah, of course, because especially this position that I'm in, it is male dominated. So how many female kings do you know? So that let's start from there. In fact, there are no female kings. Even as us as regents, we are only interim royals. We're not. We don't have like the full capacity of a king because it's only for a period of time. So that's it. So I know these things firsthand experience.
I know,
Trust
I
me.
know. I'm not even arguing. I'm just saying maybe our culture is like that. We've heard about the Dahomey kingdom, where
Mm-hmm.
it's all
Mm-hmm.
female warrior, female king. There's also another part in Zimbabwe and all.
Definitely.
But I'm still coming to feminism, which maybe I'm not going to be much of your fan. Then we're going to have a bit of argument. But before then,
Well, let me just throw this in there that I would say that to some extent I'm not a feminist either, so I totally understand. So
okay. But we are going to get there. But this is me now. Well, before then, let me give a big shout out to the people of Ivorokpa, Akoko, Ondo, because to be quite honest, they've made history, and for the fact that um, they allowed, they respected the custom, the tradition, they held it in high esteem to ensure that there was no foul politics. Like true bloods are still on the throne, and they respected that. And that is the reason why they could preserve the culture. And you are here as a testament of that preservation of culture. Yeah, we know there are challenges and all, but the fact that you are here and speaking and still representing them, it portrays a very good positive image about who your people are. Big shout out to them, big shout out to the chiefs, big shout out to all the system, and also a very, very big shout out to your family for being a strong backup support for you, because I could just imagine how a young chap could survive that. And I'm so sure you saying this, I have to just give them a big shout out. Thanks to all of them. So moving forward, let's go back to colonialism. How do you think colonialism, affected the acceptance of female kingship in Yoruba culture? How did it change the narrative around women in leadership? You can take it from pre-colonial then colonialism, as the case may
Yes.
be.
For the Yoruba society, before colonialism, there was nothing like gender disparity or anything like that, or relegation of a particular sex over, the other. There was nothing like that. The Yorubas operated on a very neutral system. They were gender neutral. They were gender fluid. They just did their thing without having to put, okay, you're a man and a woman. Before colonialism, when colonialism came, everything changed. Our language, they brought English with now we have he, she in Yoruba language. There's no he or she in Yoruba language. It's just like I said earlier, and only accord respect to those that are older than you. Use A for those that are older than you, then O for those that are older than. So that's the way it is. So, and after colonialism setting, before colonialism, let's talk about about us, about our identity as Yoruba people. There was not, like I said, there was nothing like, oh, she's a man and this is a man and these are the things that he must do, or she's a woman and these are the things that she has to do. There was nothing like that. A Yoruba woman in the right sense is a full-blooded human being with endless opportunities. She's not subservient to anybody, to any man. Even in the home, the wives are not subservient to their husbands. Although they were not like particularly equal, but they had their own control. They were supporters. The man is the head of the home, and the woman is like the deputy. She supports him. She revises whatever rules he makes. So they collaborate, they help, they complement, each other. That's the way it is.
God will bless you for this. And this has been my argument while I was in university. We had the story of Shango. Everybody knows the source of Shango's power.
Exactly.
I always keep saying that in Yoruba culture, in fact, it was like the hunters then, from the hunter story that I've listened to. Hunters are always happy when they meet special women that could actually empower them. They take them they have covenant with them, they treat them well. It has always been like that. There will be very lot of, in fact, women now started looking forward to, I want to be a strong pillar behind my husband and all. This explains why Queen Afolanyon's Anikula, if you watch the character of Shola Shobuale, she was an employer of labor. If the society was that, women with that she was rich, wealthy, and she was respected in the society. She was Borokini, employer of labor, and I love the perspective they even brought to the fact that free will, in terms of how you want to make use of your body. You could see for Shola Shobale's free will about choosing the kind of men she wants to be with. And that is the Yoruba society. Yoruba society is not predominant, but the only system we have is that once you've crossed them, we have a shame culture. And I think this is why what we brought into the internet, a kind of shame culture where people drag you, and in the society you're ostracized. You don't even know what to do except to leave that society. Now they've labeled you. That's why you caution your child not to spoil your name. Even you yourself, you do things not to spoil. But in as much as you are still within you are regarded as an human and you have absolute right to do things based on. I love that, and thank you. It shows that you're actually a very deep reader. And it shows that, and I respect that. But now let us bring that to this contemporary society right now. What are the current perceptions of female kingship among the Yoruba people today? Do you see a shift towards greater acceptance, or we have greater problems now?
For me, I don't even think that it matters, because if we consider our custom like in the right sense, it is kingship is usually from of male lineage, of male descendants. So it's not, so definitely I don't feel like women, maybe at some point now that in the pre-colonial era, where when the Europeans came with their own idea of gender and all of that segregation, and that when they came, they came with their own Western education, and at first people were considered for this education were men. were men, and women were not really considered. And the level of education that women were exposed to was just to make sure that they are able to assist their husbands to manage the home, to manage their family, and not for them to know
Be
to have
independent.
capacity outside of the home. So then I believe that with this new age of feminism, definitely at some point in the future, maybe not, I don't know if we would be able to have like a shift towards considering women for kingship, because we've done that in the past. And but let's not forget that these women, because they are women, people would definitely label them as, oh, they were tight-fisted, or they were tyrants or something. But let's not forget that even the women that you're referring to, Queen Luo and Alaafin Oronpoto, these two examples of they are women that broke barriers. Alaafin Oronpoto came in because there was no male to step up, and we knew that the people of Oyo then did not want to accept her. But she had to, I don't know, by whatever means she did, she had to alter her agenda and all of that, and that happened. And definitely she had, good records, achievements to her name, that even up to this day, centuries later, we still talk about her in reference.
Yeah.
Just as
There is even one.
Blue as well.
uh,
But I believe that these people are women who broke barriers. And that is why, even after their period, we've not had female kings in Yoruba communities, even up to this present moment. And the closest a woman can get to kingship is the Adejuyigbe institution, which, only in few states, like Ondo and Ekiti, where I'm from, and Ondo and Ekiti, Ondo, where I'm from, which is even not all of the parts of Ondo State practice is custom. So it is not, there available for every Yoruba society.
So your custom, it's something that it's fizzling out in the Yoruba culture, and your people still maintain that as as their heritage and custom, which they respect. Then, how do you believe cultural programming affects the way female leaders are perceived? In your view, what roles does education have to play now in reshaping those perceptions?
When we say cultural programming, I don't think we have cultural programming, because cultural programmings are, if I am not mistaken, it means like, the way we do our things, like the little things that we do, like our music, our style of dressing, the food, and
How we get married,
how we
how
internalize that, and how the society perceives a proper Yoruba man with that, or a woman with that. But I feel like right now, I don't think we have that, and we don't even have enough education when it comes to our cultural education, not the regular Western education, where they tell us who we are. Because as Yoruba, I don't think that the Westerners should tell us who we are. It is not right for us to take whatever they shove down our throat and tell us, oh, this is where this originated from. This is the story of so person. No, I feel like these are things that every Yoruba person should have access to.
does
But
this bother
then,
you?
as a Yoruba woman myself, I am guilty of this as well, because sometimes you can't even speak fluent Yoruba. You can't speak, even if you ask a Yoruba person who grew up in Yoruba land. I'm not talking about those in diaspora now. People who grew up in Yoruba land, to mention 5 Yoruba foods, they won't be able to tell you. They will only mention pounded yam and egusi, probably amala and gbegiri and the widu, and that's it. But if we don't, I just feel like we're not really willing to learn. We're not ready for it, because of the wave of of uh, of civilization, as they say, have really affected our mental orientation. Because
This is me digressing now. How how do you feel about all these things going on? Does it hurt you to see that something that actually was the essence of our being that sustained us is at the threat of extinction?
I would just say, maybe not. I don't think there's that. I know that there's that underlying threat of extinction, but not there per se. Because I would say that there are still some people who promote African culture promote Yoruba culture. We see it, in storytelling, in people. Like you mentioned, Anikulapo and other movies. Now people are, now being enthusiastic towards these things, and that's a beautiful one. But I know that when we talk about storytelling, it's not just about the things you read on the internet. Like some people don't even have a relationship with the community where they're from. It's either, oh, there's one witch or wizard trying to kill me or anything. You don't even know your grandparents. You've never really sat down with them to learn about how things were done in their own time. When you ask questions, you get answers, meaningful answers that you can also pass on, to your children and your great grandchildren. So, and that's the way it is. But if you don't have the access to all of this knowledge, and I believe that intentionally we don't want to know about these things, because even some people, let's even leave the grandmothers now. Let's talk about our own parents. How many people have actually taken time to sit down with their parents and ask them questions? What was your father like? How was it while you were growing up? What are the things you did and all of that? But we're not really interested. We're really interested in social trends of, this is all I have to look like. This is how, you just have to conform with whatever, whatever it is that we are seeing people from the West do. That is exactly what we want to do. We've already neglected and have pushed aside our customs, our norms and traditions, and that's not the way it is. So I feel like if you want to break out of that, that is a good way to start. Start from your own. Let's of course it has to be included in our educational academic curriculum. That's fine. But then let's go home first. Like visit your community, visit the stakeholders there. Go and ask the elders in the community questions. Go to your king. Go to attend community meetings, community gatherings. They will not chase you away. Ask questions and they will definitely provide answers for you.
But
Because the moment you are closer to your roots, that would help you, in knowing where you are as a Yoruba person and where you're going to in the future. So that helps.
we have 3 more questions or so. But I want to ask a follow-up question with what you just asked. Don't you see religion coming to debar us from having access to our roots? Because almost all our compounds now have been demonized according to Christianity. One way or the other, we are
I
praying against
completely agree with you.
we are praying against our father's house, our mother's
I
house,
agree.
and so subconsciously we believe it's a dark or a gray area to go. It was until a friend told me that, do you really want to know your future? I said, yes. Go back to your father's compound.
True.
I never understood what he said. Go and ask what works for you. You could actually trace 1 or 2 things that you can't do, you can do, things that your ancestors has failed in, and things they were highly successful in.
Exactly.
And I once read that the man called Kuti precisely, was actually, because I also come from a king lineage. Aman Jeobalake. So maybe you are speaking to the future Lake, you don't know. Maybe, but that's a joke. But I'm just saying, but my point is just that Kuti was the favorite drummer and traditional griot of my own grandfather. My grandfather loved him so much that anytime he wants to relax, wants to get entertained, he has to go and get Kuti, who is now the great grandfather of this fella. So he was a chanter, a griot, and a drummer, and a flute player. So it was easier to now trace that in their lineage. Only Agbe, wow. You understand? So now imagine a Kuti now. Let me find a very odd career for him. It's not that people don't thrive in that odd career. Let's imagine a Kuti now trying to go and do football. Yeah, you see, even though he might thrive there, but you might not be as successful in that line compared to where there's an ancestor, because a lot of things have actually gone into the doors that are open to your ancestors. A lot of sacrifices, a lot of effort, and we have carried that back, and it is biblical too. Abraham, if you trace Abraham, trace Isaac, trace all these guys, you will see the traces of covenants and blessings and the kind of God they dealt with, the doors that have been opened to them. You see that traces in their blood and their lineage. So you are absolutely right. But it's just that religion. I don't know why religion has demonized that going to your father's compound now.
No, exactly. When the missionaries came, they came with one agenda: to destroy everything that we held in high esteem back then, and they succeeded. Several missionary journeys, all of that. The when Adejuyigbe came back, the establishment of the schools, things like that. Then imagine in the Bible before. Sorry, I would not really want to talk about the Bible, but let's talk about how now we have only when we talk about things that are important to Yoruba land, we talk about Olodumare. After Olodumare, we talk about all the Orishas. After the Orishas, then we have the Alales. The Alales are like the ancestors, like people that have walked on this path before us, that have paved way for us. In my custom in Yoruba, we call them Ita. So now God is just God. Okay, let's accept that it's now Olodumare. Now these ancestors I'm talking about now, they are regarded as forefathers. Bearing in mind that these ancestors, they're not just men. We have like great women in our histories, even in our local, in our local communities, women that people idolate, that they emulate. Yes, but now they've already like created a bracket for them and label them as forefathers, and they are not even because of their own custom, because only men, only men only men were seen as
Importance.
as
They
how do I
have the
describe it? Only men,
patriarchally made.
yes, only men deserve reverence. Only men deserve respect. Only men deserve like all of the goodness, all of the adoration that you could give, and not for women. They did not give such grace to women where they are from, and that is exactly what it brought to us. And that is why, as soon as I came in, everything, even with the indirect rule, the kings became powerless. They answered to them, and all of that
From your
happened. So how would you
from your
expect
conversation,
a king that has no dominion, no control? So
just became a
what would you
figurehead.
think would be the place of a woman if a king of a kingdom does not have control over the affairs of his domain? So what would you think of the role of probably the Yalode in that community? What do you think is going to happen? And thank God for the likes of
Fumilayo.
Madam Funlayo, Anikula Pokuti, and people like Madam Pelewura. They really helped to break that barrier and create, and they also paved way for women now in the contemporary society that we have now to aspire and to just try to to have wider wider coverage when it comes to achieving their dreams. So that helps.
Wow.
So, but trust me, religion is a major is a
Two.
major tool that they use in oppressing us. That's
Wow.
I would agree
Look,
with.
if you are just joining, you have to go back to this session. This is a cultural class. Believe me, you will learn. And I have our Royal Majesty on seat. This is a very different session, and it is so dear to me that I need to say this before I ask my few last questions. That I'm giving you my word, your Royal Majesty, right now, and I'm making it public. I'm a man of my word. That I particularly owe you a stage play in honor of any any event you want to do. Prior that you give me time ahead to liaise with my team to start preparing rehearsing and all. I give you my word. And maybe to that effect, it might not be the one I've written. Maybe we are going to draft a story out of your story. But I'm giving you my word on that. Because what I know and where I come from is he that watereth must be watered. Whoever has honored you, you must honor me. I must say this publicly. She didn't collect a dime from me. She no, it is it is no, I value relationship and I always say it. It is it is it is I don't like to be someone who just take and don't give, because I believe that that is the only way we can naturally rise. Now that if I do that, I might be in your good page and you speak, highly of me in high space. But beyond that, you have honored me and you deserve that. I appreciate you so much because a lot of people might be thinking, Dimeji, Olowo go pe king. No, 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 no. Even if I'm going to appreciate her, she deserves more than something that I'm highly, highly honored. Honestly, words cannot quantify that. So I have like 2 or 3 more questions to go. Wow, this you have actually schooled us on. Now let us go to feminism. and let us just pick our fights right now. You know, you said you don't believe in feminism. I just believe feminism is too sentimental right now that you need to be careful where you stand, because a lot of people will tell you they are feminists, but what you are portraying, mama, I beg, make I know where I stand. This is toxic enough. Some people bring their personal sentiment or personal encounter. Maybe they don't serve them breakfast, and now feminists, men has come. Look, killer shit, bala shit come, man. And some people, I understand the trauma of life. Maybe they had a very, and they are suffering from this post-traumatic stress disorder, PTSD, and they brought that into a movement and want everybody to be on the same page with them. Chimamanda Adichie had to say, put someone in place and say, wow, this is not the feminism I represent. You are really a nasty human being. This is not feminism, That is what I believe in. Finally, on that feminism, a lady recently did 1,000 women. Absolutely. A lady did 1,000 men. 1,000 men. I don't want to exaggerate. It's 1,100. It's everywhere. It's on TikTok. It's on Twitter. And they asked her, she said she thinks it's empowering women. I'm like, wait, how does you doing your body, doing 100 men, empower mommy? Jojo, Bami, yo, I want Ebi Mikunu. I want to empower. Bami, you are daily cool. I want to empower Jojo. Go and empower your own people. Now, you now see the complex and so that brings me to Buche Mecheta. And I want to believe that what Chimamanda Adichie also represents is what Buche Mecheta represents, which is womanism. And that's what we believe in Africa. We believe in family. We are family oriented. We believe in, nurturing your child well. We believe in the family system. It's not a gender war, women versus men. I don't want to fight my opposite gender. I want to love you. All these men are scum. I beg, they are very cheap conversation. They are not intellectual. So let me ask you right now, because I can see that you have initiatives for women. So I want you to bring that to light, what you have for women. And in that role, what are you actually portraying in the kind of feminism that you represent?
For me, because I'm a traditional woman, and for me, as a cultural woman as well, feminism is, of course, we appreciate all of the feminists of the past, and what they've done throughout all the waves until just feel like now we have people who are, who feel like they are entitled to lots of things, which is, well, not necessarily bad because of, it's because of the society that we live in. Because sometimes as a woman, if you're not strong enough, if you're not audacious, people would walk over you, and that's just the way it is. So you have to have a really strong exterior, and I totally understand that. But I believe that in Africans construction of gender, any feminist movement that wants to say fight for the cause of women in Africa, in Yoruba society, must go back to know all of this, how the society was constructed before colonialism, because colonialism killed a lot of potentials, yes, for women. So, and I believe that feminist action should, identify all of these perspectives that we already have, and tailor all of their ideologies, to work with whatever it is that we had going on then. Because right now, if you're saying you want to help people, because definitely I believe in, in freedom. I believe in equality. I believe in all of these things, equal opportunities in the workplace and all of that. That is normal, because I can't be working the same job with you and I'll be paid less. So that's normal. And I feel like as long as a woman, have a voice, as long as you have your voice and nobody looks down on you because of your gender, that's it for me. But anything beyond that, I just feel like it's a little bit overreaching. So that's it. So
Thank you for making that very
so in
brief.
that regard, for me, that is why I'm so particular about people at the grassroots, because this position has opened my eyes. Before the position, I was just, an average teenager, but this opened my eyes to lots of possibilities, lots of, ill doings in society against women, abuse, mutilation, all of things like that. And those are things that we've addressed. And but when we're talking about feminist movements, we have to be very, very careful of these feminist actions that can even derail, from what we have going on traditionally, and whatever it is that we want to do should not and never step, on the things that we are going on, should only build on them and not collapse the structure that we have already. So that is what I believe in.
Your Royal Majesty, you and I were on the same page. Nija. When my arguments, I still want I'm always arguing. Even from secondary school. I've always been arguing. So university days, they came after everybody now started talking about polygamy. Then I asked them one question. Do you even know what polygamy means? I understand all this Christianity that came on board, and I started explaining to them that, do you know that if our forefathers didn't adopt polygamy, most tribes, most of us would have gone into extinction. Absolute extinction. Do you know how many Yoruba tribes that didn't survive till now, that they wiped up an entire village? And do you know that it's even part of this polygamy that actually they needed more defense system? Because in our mind right now, we just thought that it was an act of promiscuity. It has economic value, it has defense value. So everybody's now bringing a man for a woman. I understand modernize, no problem. At it 500 and whatever million now. We need to reduce. I understand. But for survival at that point in time, the bars that I know, we almost faced an extinction.
Because most of these women did it willingly. Nobody forced them.
Yes, now, because they understood that this is highly needed.
Of course, there were some that that did not want to, but in most cases they were willing.
So it was adopted into our culture, and that was how our race survived. And it is not even limited to African society. How did you think all these European societies also survived? Oh, you think it was just multiplying? One woman was giving to 24 now. Biologically, how possible is that? She won't be money every Thursday. So I started explaining to them. They thought it was just an act of promiscuity. I say, aside from economic value, they knew that every female child born into this, there's a training system for them, and there's a training system for every young man. Sure. The one that will go into war, the one that will go into battle, the one that will go into farming. Economic value defense system was highly important right now for our race to survive. Everybody's coming. A man for a woman, I'm saying, I beg, hello, Joko said, baby, before you come to tell me about judgment, because I read, and I'm let out. But I love the kind of family. Now, I understand the fact that people are now coming now. Your boyfriend served you breakfast. All of us must be scum. Kini mo ṣe fún ẹ? Kini mo ṣe fún ẹ? Tí mo fi jẹ́ scum. Ṣàlàyé fún mi. Ibo lè máa ṣẹ́tì padà tí mo fi jẹ́ scum. So all these things are just very strange to me. People come out, you hear this and say personal sentiments in intellectual discourse. It is a no-no for me. Let us talk about, intellectual discourse, and let us trace it with historical facts and antecedents. God bless you. You see, that is why I love royal conversation. Not all these being offer me are wicked. God will punish all the majors. God will not punish me in Jesus' name. Anyways, I want to especially thank you. Especially thank you. 2 more questions, and that's I promise you. So now, on the lighter mood, I can see from what you've been saying that you are really passionate about the culture. So what do you think is needed now to actually spread this? At least let's come from the positive angle to salvage this situation of everybody trying not to patronize this culture. And the sad thing is, Indians in Canada are now teaching Yoruba children in diaspora Yoruba language. That's a big slap. Even me right now.
That's what I'm saying.
Even me right now, I'm ashamed. That's why
you say, if you don't know who you are, people will tell you who you are or who you should be. That's the way.
Even now, I'm ashamed. You wouldn't believe. You wouldn't believe that there will be some people that they would say, "I don't like his tongue. His tongue is not tamed." I'm like, "Oh God." It hurts me. And funny thing is, I'm only saying it. If I hear someone, I know the country you come from. If I hear a Romanian speak, are you from Romania? If I hear an Indian speak, you are from India. If I don't need your face. I just need to hear you. But we are the only one that actually want
ashamed of our language.
And we don't want it to alter. So in our articulation, we have to commit what is called cultural suicide for total acceptance. Why have we gotten here? How can we salvage this situation?
Like I've mentioned, I feel like yes, the government can make reforms and things like that, but I just feel like starts with us as individuals, us, the family as a unit. We have to work together because if in the home children can't speak Yoruba, if in the home you don't, your children are not familiar with the foods, the food of, that people from their culture eat, that's something. So with their courage, their body language, things like that helps. And I feel like as individuals, we should seek answers questions, to these questions, because well, like I said earlier, people are just uninterested in discussions like this. People are not interested. That's the main thing. And if there's no interest, there's no zeal. Everybody just wants to, do whatever it is that they want to do, which is wrong. But I just hope that. But then I would also mention that with storytelling, now people are asking questions. Oh, did this really happen? After seeing a movie or reading a book, or are you sure that this happened? Oh, was this how the story actually went? What happened? That's why I said, if you have questions in your mind, don't just shove them down. Ask questions, ask people around you with knowledge. People, of course, even our parents, our grandparents, they are ready to share
Yeah.
information with us, but we're not just ready to even engage them in these meaningful conversations. And there's no way you can get answers to these questions if you don't ask them. So
Thank
that's
you.
it.
Before my final question, I want to appreciate you so much for your time. If you're just joining, you need to go watch this over again once it drops. Our Royal Majesty, the King, so Woman King. You've heard about Onilu, you've heard about Moremi, you've heard about Bilikisu Sungbo, you've heard about the Queen of Sheba. Now we have a living one amidst us. Legend, divine, Philosopher's Day, that's favored by the gods. That's our Royal Majesty Tinuade Babalola Adejuyigbe. I want to especially appreciate you. Big shout out to the people of Ondo for allowing our culture to be so beautiful and colorful, respected globally in this way. Thank you for representing Yoruba heritage. Thank you for what you stand for as a woman. Thank you for your voice. Thank you for taking that position, even when all odds were against you and when you were young. I can't remember how bold I was in age 16, but I can bet it with you. If they told me to come and become a king by then, one, you know. So you are really bold. You're a woman with an iron heart, and you deserve all the spotlight right now. You deserve it. And I pray that more will come, better, bigger, brighter lights will come. And we will try our best to keep portraying people like you, people who stood and made us proud, people who made us to feel so important. And thank you very much. Before my last question, I also remember to assert your word that my grandmother kept on telling me about Shodeke. I never knew that I came from a significant family. I just knew I would see Lisha big grandma, so I would see Shodeke house. Reverend Kuti Shodeke house. Abel grandma Shodeke. I'm like, she, and me, we are living just be common people. So I don't understand. All the important big secondary schools
Yeah.
across Abeokuta. So my grandmother would sit me down. I'm a very curious boy. I'm always asking questions. So she loves telling stories. So she would tell me one way or the other all the stories stuck. And right now that I needed them, I'm going back to that. Oh, grandma told me this truly. So I will research in that line and I will meet them and say, grandma is she. And then I was just a boy, just listening passively. Yeah, you're very right. Ask your elders question. Finally, I'm always asking my guest because we have to project into the future. Right now, you are standing on a mountain that only you can see, whether we have several mountains ahead, to be quite honest. And we want to use that your sight to take your warning or to take your advice, because this mountain you are standing, trust me, no one is standing on it. My question is this: how do you envision female leadership or kingship, as the case may be, in Yoruba culture or Africa as a whole in the future?
That brings me to institution of regency, because like I said, that's like the closest we have now to kingship, to women assuming uh, a role of leadership traditionally. And for me, my journey was not graceful at all. It was full of hurdles. It was full of challenges. I went through a lot, and I must add that there are also communities in Ondo State that have male regents, but women are considered or are chosen for regents because people believe, because in most cases they believe that women are easily disposable, because it's easy to just say, oh, okay, after their tenure they'll go. But you know how it is for men, you know,
It might turn the regent to
avoid
permanent.
tyranny, they would not want to necessarily go for male regents. And in these cases, male regents are free to live their lives as they want, lead a good life, have as many wives and concubines as they want. But for women, in our case, it's different. We have to be celibate
Really?
throughout, yes, throughout your tenure. And then, like I said earlier, you have to dress and be addressed as a man. So you have to let go of
Wait,
anything that
you
you're
paid
wearing.
you
Let
paid such
go.
sacrifice?
Yes, let go of all of your femininity and embrace,
Wow.
masculinity. You have to dress like a man, act like a man, everything. So we have to place your personal life on hold for as long as it takes that community to choose a substantive king, and that can be so unfair. And the funny thing is, there is no good remuneration. There's no compensation for the work that you've done. It's just, oh, okay, but it is expected. It is because it is expected. They feel like, oh, it's something that she should do. And now with colonialism, before colonialism, things were well. The people took care of their kings. They knew that it was in their place to make sure that if their people were set, that their leaders were settled. Tributes, things like that. They brought to the palace flourished, the kings flourished. Gifting, all of that. But now people will come and ask you for school fees for their children. And I remember that while I was there, my salary was not more than 40,000 naira all through the 6 years that I was there. At some point, I was paid 30K. At some point, I was paid 20K. So apart from the little benefits that came towards like the end of the year, probably might give like small benefits like food items and things like that, and that is it. So apart from and something else is they took care of the staffing as well. They took care of the funds, salary. I think I was entitled to a driver, a gardener, a chef, and an assistant. I think 4 staff in total, and that's it. But for me, there was no benefit whatsoever, just the 40K, and that's it. And even after the tenure, there was no compensation from the government, or even if the people wanted to do, but because of how things are structured now, that people does not feel entitled to their monarchs. Some people don't even know the name of their king. They've never been to the palace, and usually in back in pre-colonial era, people would go to the palace, they would exchange pleasantries with the king, they would go bearing gifts, things like that, to just encourage them, because this is a lot of work for somebody like me who has to place a lot of like 6 years of my life, of my adulthood, on hold for this position. I believe that women deserve better in their capacity, and every day I say it, and not just for myself now, but for others coming before after me, for regents that are going to ascend to the throne. I believe that they should have like better opportunities, better remuneration for them, so that they can thrive while they're on the throne and afterwards. Because with the position, you get men make sexual advances at you, things like that, and they know that it is forbidden, but they will still do that. And all of these things are just a way to relegate women and just, tell them that regardless of whatever position you hold, you are still a woman. So I don't care wherever it is, at least you're a woman, even if you're dressed, the way you are dressed. So things like that. If going through all of that, we had cases of regents who, after their tenure, their husband left them because they felt, oh, she's too fierce, she's too powerful, I can't handle a woman like you anymore, so we can't be together, all of that. And then moving on, nobody would employ a regent to come and sit at an office for a 9 to 5. What would you address her as? Like, how would you relate with her? Things like that. And there is no proper remuneration for them to even
Kabiyesi, bring
take
my
care.
fight. Bring
With
my
what
fight.
you've done, this is our own little token of appreciation. Please take this, please take this, please take this. In Ondo States, this is very, very poor. I don't know if that has changed, but every time I talk about we have sessions like this, I ensure to mention this to people so that they know that yes, it's not just about roses and unicorns and rainbows. No, we also, go through our own issues as well, and this should be addressed not just as the government but as individuals as well. If you're open for change, and we need to go back, we have to go back to our drawing board and try to make all of these changes where they are necessary. So I feel like that is going to help. And for me, I'm so passionate about helping young people. I don't care your age or your gender, as long as you're a young person, I would definitely support your cause and help you in whichever capacity. And even now, after my tenure, I go home, I contribute meaningfully. If they have things going on in the community, they will call me as well to contribute. And that is it. With the help of international actors and individuals, I've been able to raise support for my people, and I know that even up till this day, every day I wake up, my people are my topmost priority, apart from myself, of course. So I make sure to give back to them, as much as I can, to make sure that they have a fair chance, to thrive just as people in urban societies and in big cities. I want to make sure that yes, they can be in rural area, but rural is cool as long as you have everything you need right there, all the amenities or all the opportunities are there. You don't have to move or migrate to any other place. You can still be there, have first-hand experience about your culture and your custom without sweating, without being in poverty, so things like that. That's the kind of that's my initiative, and that is what I push every day out there. And for me, you can see how I'm dressed. So apart from this, of course, this is expected.
Even after the Regent,
Yes,
you are not back to the
yes,
sexy life.
definitely. Only at Pure and Sakila. So this is the way I would forever be addressed as Kabiyesi. Although now my role in the community is more ceremonial because we have a king. But however, I still need to look and dress the part so that I will not just be on the street and people will just call me by name or do anything randomly because they will not know. So I still need to educate people on a daily on what this position,
Tails.
exactly represents, and that's it. I saw these beats, and like we were saying, things I think could help as well are things we need to be more accepting of our culture. We need to be more accepting of our culture in terms of our food. People are not willing to explore Yoruba food. They are, apart from Gbegiri and Ewedu, that is it. At most, they eat Panyama and Egusi
Do we
soup.
have wait, I'm
And
sorry, this
Ekolo.
is an honest question. Do we have any other exciting food aside from the
That's what
basic
I'm
ones I know?
saying.
Like potato.
You people don't go home. That's why.
I
You don't go home.
don't come on. I came here how
People
many years? I
people don't go home. If you visit your community, you will realize that they have food that are even that are native to them, things that they consider, oh, this is what we eat on a daily. Like you can't go to any Ondo house
I
without eating
know
pounded
I
yam.
know mine.
If you
Our
go
own
to
is
Akoko
laugh.
land, if you go to my community, you're going to be eating pounded yam 247. Hey,
Our
there's that
own
kind.
our own in
So
Abeokuta is
now
laughing. I know, laughing.
so things like that. Oh, and soups. We have several soups. We have several stews. We have like specific food tailored for like special occasions, special for things like that. So of course, I know that with religion, you feel like anything cultural is demonic, is all of this is not right, is it's. But we need to explore all of this because you can't, of course, I feel like the moment you get yourself in tune with the custom and tradition, that even helps with whatever religion that you represent. Even if you're a Christian, you would know that, okay, this is my journey into Christianity, not just what somebody told you. That's just what I feel. Because if you don't have answers to these questions, you can't realize who you are. Because at the end of the day, this is our identity, this is what we represent, and this is why I always tell people that the corals I'm wearing, of course, we realize that people say that, oh, it's for kings. It's not just for kings. Back in those days, it is also for influential people. As long as you're wealthy, the Borokinis, you can wear your beads, you can afford it, you can afford like good wear to afford anything that you can wear, you can. And this is why I tell people that if you want to get beads and you like them, wear them. As long as they are not traditional items like the Urukere or anything. But beads are things that you should, as a normal be should own. You should have one, at least one original coral, So that when you step out, you put on your attire, you put your beads on, and people will, oh, what are you wearing? And that would even make you proud. So those are the things that we can integrate into our daily lives that would help our culture. So that's it.
Wow. Like I said, this is a cultural class. That's the best submission I've ever had. Thank you once again. Ladies and gentlemen, we're about to draw a curtain to this episode. Please support our Royal Majesty, support our foundation, support our business. She makes the beats. I'm going to be supporting you even immediately after this
That's good. Thank you.
session, most especially because you made mention of women and children. A widow raised. I have sport arts for women. If I believe now, once I'm that huge, they might be tempted to call me Okokpo because a widow raised me. And without a good woman in my life, I would amount to nothing.
True.
So I know that I have to treat women, I treat them specially. Some will say, I would like Obiri. Yeah, I'm proud of it. It's okay. Because with what is even going on right now, with the way they are being treated in marriage, in relationship, it's something every man should be proud of when they tell you, he knows how to treat a woman right. He likes women. It's okay. Own it. Because right now, the female gender are really, I don't really like the way they are being, subjugated to a lot of maltreatment in relationship, emotional trauma they go through. It is not fair. So because a widow raised me firsthand, I have seen what you women deal with, and I've seen the power, the willpower of a woman. I've seen what the sacrifice, like the sacrifice you made, celibacy, as simple as people think, is not fair. Because if a guy in your position a man in your position could explore, then that same also applied to my mom. After my dad's demise, she never, had anything with, and biologically, she must have put, I don't you understand? So these are the sacrifices that I feel the female gender deserve better. And, I made a purposeful dedication that I'm going to treat women right, And because of that, I will be supporting your foundation. I promise, immediately after this. But beyond that, I'm also encouraging people to reach out to her. She's very accessible. She's humble. Try to reach out to her, support her, because this is history. This is history right in our face. So we don't really need to start going back to history book. She has made that sacrifice and she has made us proud. So it is Street and Cathedral today. We'll meet next week again. And big shout out to everybody that made Oniluo a success. You see, Oniluo yesterday, our Royal Majesty today, very, very beautiful week. Oh, this is the best week ever. And women are winning. So amazing women across the globe. I love you all. Thank you. I'll meet you next week. And this is where I say bye bye.